Okay, let me just give you some advice. Never buy Mindjack, which I have had multiple requests to review that I've only just now gotten around to thanks to all of the goddamn overdraft fees I keep having to pay at the bank account trying to play Vanquish at the same time. See, I had some extra cash, found a used copy of both, and plunked down my money. They're both third-person cover-based shooters set in science fiction-heavy settings, and both come from Asian devs. But that, my friends, is where the similarity ends, as Vanquish is a breathless, communist robot-killing good time, albeit one with overwrought characterizations that suffer from too much forced attitude and a plotline that's, well, silly as all hell. Think a futuristic version of the Cold War, only not quite as cool as that sounds. But gameplay, man, well, let's just say when Gears of War 3 comes out and I find myself saddled with the hulking monstrosity that is player character Marcus Phoenix, I will truly miss Vanquish Protag Sam Gideon's ability to skate across a map at super speeds looking for cover while simultaneously being able to slow down time when the need calls for it. If Marcus Phoenix is a tank, then Gideon is a goddamn Kawasaki motorbike or some shit like that. And the giant robots he faces, even in the first 20 minutes of the game, are an intimidating and impressive lot to behold. And then there's Mindjack, which I'm in the midst of trying to review. The story here casts you as some kind of operative with the ability to hack into the minds of others. He's so generic I can't even recall his bland-ass name after having just played the frickin' game. And the voice actor hired to embody him does laughably bad work. But hey, at least he's in good company, as all the speaking parts in Mindjack should probably consider turning in their SAG cards, heads hung in shame. But anyway, our generic protag early on finds himself in pursuit of, well, a generic woman and later partner who may or may not be a terrorist. Long story short, there's a conspiracy, people being framed, and lots of bionic monkeys and gorillas and robots trying to take you down. All good in theory. I really wanted to like Mindjack, reviews be damned. And at first I kinda did. A solid story and characters can elevate a game, certainly, but Vanquish lacks these and still doles out the goodies like a nice old neighbor during trick-or-treat. So the fact that Mindjack lacked them too was of little concern despite the lame voice acting. The shooting mechanics are sluggish, but seemed at least initially to get the job done. And the fact that you can mind-slave fallen enemies, provided you didn't finish them off with a shot to the dome, to do your dirty work means that in theory you can turn your enemies against one another in small droves. A nice touch. But then, during the game's first boss fight with a flying police jet of some kind, the game showed its true colors. The sluggish controls made it far more difficult to handle this threat than it ever should have been, especially while battling ground forces at the same time. It took me forever to realize that the rocket launcher I needed to steal from a dead, armored brute wasn't actually that hard to get if I got right up in the bastard's face. Seeing as how he's so dumb he can't hit you at close range with a rocket launcher, but sure as hell could from afar. But, avid gamer that I am, I spent an embarrassingly long time on this first boss encounter, primarily because I overestimated the game's AI. Also, cover fire doesn't work very well, point of fact. You can have an enemy dead in your crosshairs while hiding behind cover, but popping out and firing somehow only results in you shooting the barricade you're hiding behind and not said enemy. This isn't always the case, but far too often for comfort it is. And waves upon waves of enemies, piss-poor checkpoints, and I say that again, piss-poor checkpoints, a baffling lack of a pause button, I shit you not, at least to my knowledge, and the problems start to add up pretty fast. The worst offender is the mindjacking itself. It's a good concept in theory, albeit done better in games like PsyOps and Second Sight, but its implementation blows. Basically, in single player, if your generic dude goes down in a hail of bullets, his disembodied soul can possess another character. Usually you'll look for your female companion, but there are other generic, cowering civilians on nearly every map lurking there just for this purpose. And sure enough, when you jack one, they'll suddenly be armed and ready for battle, with all the enemies somehow knowing that said civilian is now a target as well. They're almost useless though, as you can't lose both main characters and hope to continue the fight. Worse, jacking means you have to be ridiculously close to your target to possess them, and you have virtually no time to do it before it's game over and oops, back to that ridiculous checkpoint. And why you can't mindjack enemies and have them do fun things like jump off of buildings or shoot themselves in the face is beyond me in a game with this concept. In short, if you want a cover-based shooter from out of the East, skip the frustrations of the badly designed Mindjack unless you want to co-op it with a friend, and instead reach for the terribly underrated Vanquish Mindjack has its moments, but most of them will just jack your mind with frustration.